Okay, this is Brother Demuzi. We getting right back into this. How white folks got so rich, and like always.
Now I already told you people. First one's free. Then what I say? I said I will shut that shit down. No exceptions. Now I don't know what kind of lying assholes you've been dealing with, but I'm a man of my word. First impressions are important. I need you to know me. So, back to it.
Okay, this one this particular part we're gonna be talking about Social Security, We're going to be talking about Social Security and pensions for white workers only. Okay, Social Security was created for white people. Okay. Social Security was created in 1935 to provide support payments to Americans in their senior years. Yet its benefits specifically denied to agricultural and domestic workers because the vast majority of those jobs were held by blacks and Latinos. Okay, so if you're white and you had an agriculture job, some kind of domestic worker job, you didn't get it. And these are those white people who say that, well, the government did me wrong too. Okay, just because the government did you wrong too does not make you any less racist than your government. Okay, because being that you would have been provided the benefits in question, we wouldn't hear your mouth. Okay, because you would be like the other side of your Caucasian brothers and sisters who say, well, just pull yourself up by your own bootstrap. Shit like that, But yeah, back to it. Legislation that is intended to exclude non-whites is crafted to target its victims by occupation and not explicitly by race to appear to comply with the created equal part of the United States Constitution. I read that slow enough for you whitey to understand. Of those blacks in jobs covered by the Social Security program, a large portion, says 42% compared to 22% for whites. A large portion still did not earn enough income to receive benefits. Let's read that again. Now, this right here is for my black people. This is some information that you can use, when you debate. So here we go. Of those blacks in jobs covered by the Social Security program, a large portion still did not earn enough income to receive benefits. Okay. A high portion made illiterate through the denial of any education simply could not fill out the necessary forms. So we didn't know how to read. And when it came to filling out these forms, that they weren't going to help us fill them out. So a lot of black people at that time probably just gave up and said, man, this system is really kicking my ass and there's nothing that I can do. So I'm just going to give up. I'm just going to exist. And that's what's going on today. You can't tell me. Look. And this is a true story. Well, I'm not going to give you the story. I'm just going to give you the situation within the story. Okay. A white man got hired at a job with felonies, with an S, with an IES. Okay. On his record. But the black guys, this one white guy was able to get hired with felonies on his record. Okay. These black guys, who also worked at the same store as him, had their backgrounds checked after they got hired and were fired once the background check came back showing that there was something that there were misdemeanors on their backgrounds. Okay. This white guy, his background was checked prior to him getting a job, based on the sources that I got it from. Okay. But yeah, that's enough to make a black person want to give up on living. They just resort to existing, and this is a mindset that is forced onto the black person, who is denied. Well, I'm not going to say black person, the black man. This is a mindset that is forced upon the black man. You tell him, you tell us, well, yeah, you tell them, because I have a job. But you tell them that they can't get a job because of their background, because of what's on their background. Simple things. Okay? And now their mindset is set, and from that time on, once they are denied a job, that I can't do this, and I just give up. So that creates, and then you have the nerve to stereotype them. You create a situation to stereotype us as black people. You create the situation to stereotype us. Ain't that some shit? Okay? A retiree receiving these monthly benefits means that any savings accumulated by the elderly recipient can be handed down to the next generation. Now, we talked about this earlier in one of the earlier chapters, talking about inherited wealth. Okay. Now, these white people, they have land. Okay, they own the houses that they live in, so they just pay a property tax, if that. Okay, they give the land and home to their child. Okay, their child has been working, saving up their money, and they have a house and they have money. So with that money, the land is probably paid for. If not, they're still paying a land tax. But because of Social Security, the old person who is receiving that money, they don't have to pay rent. Okay. So that money is saved as well. So you have granddad and grandmother, white granddad and white grandmother, who have their Social Security income saved in the bank for their children. Now their children have been working, and they've been living at home with their mother, mother and father, and they save their money along with mama and dad, and then their children get that money that's left from mom, white dad, and white grandma and white grandpa. That white child is set for life. Okay, just those three generations are set financially, and they don't have to worry about a thing. Okay, and this is what we talk about when we talk about white privilege. And you could easily say that well, black people could have done it too. Yeah, we could have. But our financial peak in history was interrupted by your bombs. Okay? We were moving up in the world. We were out competing the entire country. And we were bombed for it. If America likes competition, why didn't America just let Black Wall Street remain Black Wall Street? Why did America feel the need to bomb Black Wall Street? And you will not have an answer for that question. And because you won't have an answer for that question, we're going to move right along. It has been estimated that up to 80% of white people's health is attributed to gifts. Did I say health? Wealth. It has been estimated that up to 80% of white people's wealth is attributable to gifts from ancestors. And not just gifts from their ancestors, but gifts from our ancestors. Okay? I'm going to find that Huey P. Newton speech. And he says something along the lines of that. About how you took from us and you built yourself up with what you took from us. And that's this entire country. And like I said in previous videos, we cannot ask for reparations from this country because they owe us too much. They would have to give us the things in their house. Okay? And then they would have to borrow. They had to give us all the money that they made. But I mean, there's no amount of money that they could pay us that, I mean, if they were to give us $1 trillion, that would be an insult. That would be an insult. Because what they did to us was way worse. $1 trillion just can't accommodate for that. Okay? But, moving on. Blacks who were prevented from receiving these extraordinary government benefits had to use their already depressed wages to support their indigent elderly parents and had far fewer resources to help their own children. Okay? Thus, the resources of the black families were directly diverted away from savings and capital accumulation. Okay? In so many words, we didn't have the privilege that white people had. Because of discrimination, segregation, degradation, and dehumanization. I'm telling you. And it still goes on today. This is why we say that racism still exists, because it does. It's not a figment of our imagination. This is something that is actually still going on. Okay, whether covertly or overtly, open or, behind closed doors. All those white people that you see smiling in those lynching pictures, they had children, and their children had children, and then their children had children, and then the children that they had are in school with our babies. Okay. Yes, there's a bunch of quotes going around, that say that racism is taught. They say that racism is taught. Racism is learned, or something to that effect. But I don't think so. I think people come here, not just white people. I believe people in general come here racist, based on both definitions. Okay, and I'm going to do a video right after this talking about racism and racist. Okay. But yeah. Also, blacks who pay into the Social Security Fund have a lower life expectancy than do whites. About 73 years for all blacks, but just 69.5 years for black males. 78.2 years for whites. So working blacks are actually subsidizing whites' longer lives. I'm going to look up this word, subsidizing. Tell you what it means. Bear with me. Let's see here. Subsidize, which is support financially. Okay. We are financing white people's lives. We're putting money in their pocket, voluntary and involuntary. White families and communities were and are immeasurably strengthened and stabilized through this program. And yes, they are. Okay, we could do the statistics on it. Y'all like statistics? Google it. Social Security is especially important to blacks and Latinos because they are less likely than white Americans to have pensions, 401k accounts, or retirement savings. And they're right. Okay. We know at this very moment the sole income for 40% of blacks is Social Security. Want to bet? Oh man, this book is the truth. And because blacks have lower life earnings, read this again. I'll read it slowly. Because blacks have lower lifetime earnings, they receive substantially less in benefits than whites.
You still there? I don't know. It seems like you're trying to speak, but you just took a hell of a hit. I just popped your skull so hard, your eyeball just popped out. And it is gross as shit. Yeah, I'll find you. Oh, hell. I can see this is hard on you guys. I am sorry. I truly am. I did say it. No exceptions.
Just want to let you guys know what the next section was going to be about. And the next section, here we go. The next section will be unemployment insurance for whites only. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.